Hello there. How's everybody doing? Stephen Thomas with you. Another housing debrief. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Housing debrief. This is season 4, episode number, already number 6. Hard to believe this year just keeps chugging along. And I want to invite everybody to subscribe. Go to Reports on Housing at YouTube. Reports on Housing. Go to YouTube. Subscribe. Like our videos so we can get those YouTube algorithms going, so that more and more people can engage in true facts, true data, statistics. This is all I do. I'm a housing analyst. I'm going to tell you like it is. So today we're bringing you, will housing crash in 2023? And you're wondering, why am I bringing this up yet again? And that is because, yes, recently we've seen a giant spike in the number of people searching for a housing crash. And actually, the first spike occurred in 2020 when we originally went into COVID. And then along came 2021, and values are going up so much that people were once again searching for a housing crash. And then along came interest rates spiking, and now you've seen on the right-hand side what I'm pointing to, and that is just a tremendous number of people that are searching on the web for a housing crash. They're not only doing it on the web, they are really doing it on YouTube, and it has been very, very elevated over the last since rates started to spike in 2022. Started in 2021 as the market, 2022 as the market started to slow and we saw interest rates go, but it really has not gone anywhere. Just because everybody understands that values are starting to go down, so automatically everybody goes to that Great Recession, that, oh my gosh, this is going to burst, values are going to absolutely plummet. And that just simply is not the case. There are plenty of YouTube channels that devote their lives to terrifying everybody about the potential of the destruction of housing crashes. And everybody's searching them. And why? Because there's a lot of people that feel like they've missed the boat, that they want to be a part of it. They want values to come down, so that's kind of what they're rooting for. If I did a YouTube video on everything's hunky-dory, no one's going to watch it. But if I talk about the end of housing and it crashing, a lot of people will be tuning in. And there are plenty of headlines across the United States that go in all different directions, making it extremely confusing to figure out exactly what's going on in housing. It's kind of like trying to figure out exactly where interest rates are going to go for the rest of this year. I've had actually people ask me, where do I think interest rates are going to be at the end of the year? I've also had people ask me, where do I think the housing market's going in a couple of years? I really don't think that there's that many people that know what's really going on. So what that creates is just a vacuum with a lot of noise. Plenty of noise, and everybody with their own educated opinion as to where they think things are going to go. So, but I want everybody to lean into a housing analyst like myself. Somebody that's trying to tell you exactly what's going on the way we see it. And economics is really actually slow and boring. It's something that we follow all the time on a day-to-day basis. And there's not a lot of changes, but we get excited about it. And we love sharing what's going on in the market. And it really comes down to supply and demand. Now, supply and demand is that basic Econ 101, where when you have a lot of supply, values typically, and low demand, values typically go down. When you have low supply and high demand, values typically go up. But what happens when you're dealing with a different scenario where you have low supply and low demand? And that is because we have had interest rates go from 3.25% to, in October, 7.37%. Where do they sit today? At 7% again. October, November, this year we had low rates as low as 5.99%, and now they're right at a percentage higher. So when you have that kind of an extreme change in interest rates, it really does damage the number of buyers that can qualify. There is a affordability housing crisis if you haven't heard about what's going on out there. And this is a complex chart, but basically what it says is above that purple line in the middle is less than a 6-month inventory, and to the right of the blue line is when values go up. In that green box, it was always when we had an inventory less than 6 months, we actually had values go up. when we've had inventory greater than 6 months below that purple line, and to the left of the blue, the red, we had values typically go down. But for the first time, we have less than a 6-month inventory, and those black triangles show you that we've had values going down across the United States in spite of the fact that we have less than a 6-month inventory. And this is that tug of war between supply and demand. And you could see it across the United States. Now, I used to follow Case-Shiller like crazy. I still do, but it's very hard to quote them because they're so dated. They just came out with December. Freddie Mac's housing price index year over year actually was released for the month of January recently, which tells you a lot more. Now, across the United States, we're actually up 2% year over year. So we were as high as almost 20% according to Freddie Mac. Case-Shiller was just at 20%. And since June, the housing values have actually come down 5%. Now, in the state of California, where it gets a lot of publicity, you can see that we've had many times in California where it's gone above 20%. As a matter of fact, if you look over here in 1977, it went up almost 30% that year. Now, to the right, you're actually seeing that it's dipped below 0%. So it's down 2% year over year. So that means that if you look at where we were in January of last year to January of this year, we're actually down 2% in terms of real value. This is not median values. This is different. There are different ways of calculating exactly what happens with appreciation. There's a lot of there are a lot of different indexes that are out there, but they kind of jive together. And this is probably what all the indexes are going to do, at least by March, where they're down year over year. Now, it's actually down 8% since May in this state of California. And but there's a huge but. Now, I'm telling you that values have come down, but there's a reason why values have come down. Because there was actually more inventory than there is today. Since the October, November is when we had rates that were spiking, we actually had values coming down at a faster pace, and we still had more inventory that was lingering. But since then, we've had inventory go down more by the time we got to the end of the year, and then it dove even further since the start of the year. And there aren't that many new sellers coming on the market, so that spigot of available homes is actually what I refer to as it's just a dribble. There are only drops coming right now. And if I showed you this, this will tell you where inventories have been in the past, which is why we're not having one of those giant pops of a bubble or a big tanking housing crash. Because what I'm pointing to at the top, this is across the United States, are 4 million homes on the market. That was where we were prior to the Great Recession and during the Great Recession. And if you look at where I'm, the next dotted yellow line, orange line, actually is at 2 million. And if you look right there, that's where we were behaving for a while. And you could see that we were behaving at that 2 million mark from about 2012 through 2019. Now that pink bracket is into COVID. And crashed down further to levels that are just absolutely unprecedented, because this goes back all the way back to the 80s. And if you draw a line across, look how few the number of homes across the United States are today. It's amazing. And you could see even across the United States, detached homes. Right now, this is done by Altos Research. Within the last week alone, it went down another 2.5%. Now, the inventory typically starts to rise by the end of January, but yet throughout February and at the start of March, what we've had is inventories continue to go down. It's actually gone down 8% in just the last month. And 419,000 detached homes across the United States. In 2019, at this time, we had 820,000. So you could see there were a lot more homes even pre-COVID, not even compared to the Great Recession levels. Now, in Southern California, I'm showing you actually, you could see where it was a lot higher and has come down. It's actually dropped 9% in a month as well. And Southern California, new homes coming on the market, this is a real problem. This is golden handcuffs, hunkering down, locked in mortgages, or sellers that can't move because they can't afford to move right now. Maybe they can down the road as they have higher incomes or values come down a little bit more. But right now, there are a lot of homeowners that are simply not coming to market, and it is across the fruited plain. This is the story across the U.S. It's a little bit deeper in SoCal because our prices are so much higher that it really precludes people from making a move when the differences are so much. Now, if you look at this, I'm pointing to where we are in 2023. The orange line is 2022. I've heard some experts talk about how it's very similar to last year. It is actually not similar to last year. We are putting on far fewer homes on the market right now. And if you actually project out for the rest of the year as to the number of homes that come on the market, based upon January and February's velocity of 40% fewer sellers, that's that dotted blue line. You can see far fewer than what normally comes on a monthly basis. So if that continues at this pace of 40% fewer homeowners coming on, fewer sellers coming on the market compared to a normal year prior to COVID, we're missing 162,000 sellers in Southern California alone, and that is a real problem. So there is this tug of war between buyers and sellers. Buyers were winning because there was more inventory, but as inventory has continued to come down, these buyers are not winning as much. And before I go on, I want to thank our sponsor, Just Appraisals Inc. And you can contact them at 949-939-5622. That's 949-939-5622. They, of course, are a leading real estate appraisal company with over 20 years of experience, based in Orange County, servicing OC and surrounding counties. They have a team of highly qualified and experienced appraisers, a systematic approach toward appraisals, providing high quality and realistic value to your property, and exceptional service and competitive fees. And they deal with all kinds of appraisals, of course, but they also specialize in estate planning, date of death appraisals, divorce appraisals, and complex residential pre-listing appraisals. I know a lot of people that say there's not enough comps. Well, that's where you should be contacting Just Appraisals Inc. And you can contact them too at 949-939-5622. So back to the program, Southern California active listings within the last week has actually stopped dropping, and we're kind of like stabilized right below 20,000 homes. But this is far below where we were pre-COVID, which is that purple line. Green line was, we drilled down to there during COVID, at the very, very start of COVID. That was 2020. You could see this is coming down at a faster clip than 2021. That's the red line. And, there just are not enough homes on the market. I referred to last year at this time as a supply catastrophe. Right now, we are dealing with what I refer to as a supply crisis. And it's matched up against low demand. This low demand actually was only going up slightly within the last 2 weeks. Within the last week alone, it's actually been flat. Hasn't really changed much at all, because this is right at the cusp of going into the spring market, which actually starts next week. And then we'll start to get more homes coming on the market because we get into the spring. That's when families like to transact. And once these families like to transact, they come on the market. More homes come on the market in March, even more in April. And then we peak out in May as to the number of homes coming in the market, because families like to place their homes on the market or go into escrow in spring and then close during the summer while the kids are away from school. But as a result, we have this expected market time that is just so low. That's the blue line. And you can see we're following right where it was around COVID. It's not going to follow COVID because the expected market time, place your home on the market when you opening up escrow, all of a sudden felt really slow once we first went into COVID and we were locked down. We're not going to experience that at all. But you can see that it's lower than where we were in pre-COVID days. And as a matter of fact, right now is at 54 days, which is a pretty hot kind of a market. It has that hot kind of feel. Now, buyers are still going to be extremely careful and not going to overpay. So we're not going to see values skyrocketing like they normally do when we hit a expected market time of 54 days. But in some markets, it's even hotter. LA is right there at 59 days. Orange County's at 44. That is ridiculous. Riverside's at 60. San Bernardino's at 66. San Diego's at 35 days. Now, and Ventura's at 39. Anything at 40 days or even at 44. At 40 days or below, I refer to as insanity. It's just so insane out there that values are going up. There's so few homes on the market that as a result, there's that tug of war that's taking place, and open houses are filled with buyers, as well as properties that are in good condition, good shape, and priced right according to their fair market value, they will achieve multiple offers. And that is true all the way up to $2 million. It's not just the entry-level marketplace. So that's what's going on. Now, this is going to hang around where we're going to have this tug of war between buyers and sellers, and we'll see who's winning at different times of market. But right now, with fewer homeowners coming on the market and the supply is so limited that sellers are actually winning a bit and they're pulling back a bit. If we had more inventory, then demand would win, but it all has to do with interest rates. Once we get interest rates that start to come down and come down to a much more agreeable level, like the mid fives, which we may get to by the end of the year. I was saying the middle of the year, but we just don't know because of all the hot data that we got in February. We'll have to see what happens tomorrow with Jobs Friday. But interest rates are really going to drive this market. And what's the big thing is we're not going to have what I showed you. We're not going to have this crash in the market because there's just not the supply for it. And there aren't that many homeowners coming on the market. Yes, we have low demand that probably rivals where we were in right around the Great Recession, but we have this low supply that is far different. And as a result, right now, fewer homeowners coming on the market and fewer buyers playing in the marketplace. As a result, we will have fewer sales. So that is going to be the mantra of the year, is not enough closed sales. Not that values are plummeting or crashing. That's just not what's going to happen. So if you want a copy of this, you got to be a subscriber to the Housing Report. You can go to reportsonhousing.com to subscribe. And I have a coupon for you. The most recent one that came out is called Supply Dilemma. This is for LA, Orange County, San Diego, and San Bernardino Riverside. Will get theirs next week. And utilize the coupon code CRASH when you go to reportsonhousing.com. So just want to thank everybody for tuning in to another Housing Debrief. Hope you got a lot out of this. If you have any questions, place them in the comments. Let me know what you think of this new way that we're doing things, because I'd rather upload things and have the audio great and the visuals great. So let me know what you think, and we will see you next week. Have a fantastic finish to your week. Thanks much.